Hi everyone, we're going back to the How to Become an IFA series today, and we're looking at R05, Financial Protection. Now you'll be pleased to know in terms of numerical order, this is the penultimate RO exam, but you do not have to do the RO exams in numerical order. You can literally do them in whatever order you like. And actually most people prefer to do this one first for several reasons, but don't get sucked in. So R05 is all about financial protection. It develops your knowledge and understanding of and the ability to analyse financial protection issues. It's a level 3 exam. So all the other RO exams are level 4, but this one is a level 3 exam, but you still need it to complete your diploma in regulated financial planning, and you can use it as gap filling for the diploma in financial planning. The CII recommend 50 study hours, but you may well need more than that if you don't know much about financial protection in the first place and you don't have much experience with protection policies. It is a multiple choice exam, and it is 1 hour with 50 questions. And you get 10 CII credits upon successful completion of the exam. R05 covers several areas around financial protection, including policy types, establishing the appropriate sum assured for a protection policy, underwriting, claims, the use of trusts, and the taxation of benefits. Now, there may well be quite a lot of taxation questions, so don't get roped into thinking that it's a protection exam. Why would there be any questions about tax? There will be some taxation questions, probably more than you expect, so just be aware of that. At the end of R05, you should be able to demonstrate an understanding of and an ability to analyse the purpose and scope of financial protection products and how they interact with state benefits, the main features and functions of the different types of contracts and how they are arranged in order to meet an individual client's particular needs, and the main protection needs of businesses. There are 10 learning outcomes, and I'll just run through those quickly, along with how many questions in the exam will come up for each learning outcome. So the first one is understand the consumer and retail market factors and trends relevant to financial protection. That is 3 questions in the exam. Number 2, understand the areas of need for protection planning and the main sources of financial protection. That one will be 3 questions in the exam. Number 3, understand the role and limitations of state benefits and state or local authority funded solutions for financial protection. That one will also be 3 questions. Number 4, understand the range, structure and application of life assurance and pension-based policies to meet financial protection needs. Now, this is the biggest section. This will have 8 questions in the exam. Learning outcome number 5, understand the taxation treatment of life assurance and pension-based protection policies. That one will be 6 questions in the exam. Number 6, understand the range, structure and application of income protection insurance and options to meet financial protection needs. That one is also 6 questions in the exam. Number 7, understand the range, structure and application of critical illness insurance to meet financial protection needs. That one is also 6 questions. Number 8, understand the range, structure and application of long-term care insurance to meet financial protection needs. That one's 3 questions. Number 9, understand the main features of other insurance-based protection policies. That is 6 questions. And number 10, evaluate the needs and priorities for financial protection and the relevant factors in selecting appropriate solutions. And that one is also 6 questions. The questions may deviate by 1 or 2 in each exam paper, but broadly those can be the number of questions you can be expected to get in each particular learning outcome. So let's talk about some study tips. First of all, you need to work smarter and not harder. It's all about the quality of your studying and not the quantity of it. There is no point in just reading the textbook through multiple times because the likelihood is you're not going to soak up a lot of that information. So you need to work out what type of learner you are and you need to structure your learning to meet your requirements. If you're a visual learner, use visual aids. If you like audio listening and you soak stuff up while you're on a commute to work, then do it that way. But you need to identify what sort of learner you are before you can start learning. There are past papers you can access on the CII website. They're called exam guides. So log on to the CII, find the R05 exam and just look for the exam guides down the side. It's probably worth doing one of those before you even start studying so you can just identify any gaps in your knowledge. And you might be surprised, you might actually know quite a lot that you weren't aware of. And then you can structure your learning based on the areas that you don't know, because there's no point in learning things that you already do. This exam will also test you on the Department for Work and Pensions benefits. So you need to make sure you have a good understanding of the more technical rules relating to DWP. So please do make sure you squat up on that stuff ready for the exam. The chapter that is most heavily examined in the learning outcomes is chapter 4. Which has 8 out of the 50 questions in total. And there are also some other key chapters, which are chapters 5, 6, 7, 10, and 11. So they all have 6 questions each in the exam. So that means that 6 out of the 10 chapters in the study text will have 38 out of the 50 questions. So it's a bit unweighted there in terms of what you should learn out of the study text, but you can certainly highlight those key chapters that you know will have the majority of the marks for the exam. So you'll need to get about 35 marks out of 50 to pass the exam. The pass rate's at about 70%. So it's almost impossible to pass the CAI R05 exam without scoring well on those chapters that I've just spoken about. So if your revision is short and you don't have much time, spend more time on those chapters and less time on chapters 1, 2 and 8. In terms of long-term care and social security benefits, there will be some questions on these areas, but perhaps 3 to 5, so there won't be a huge number of questions on these areas, but it is important to make sure you do know them. Make sure you use Revision Mate online, so that automatically gets included when you purchase the R05 unit, and you can log online. You've got access to the PDF textbook, so you can learn on the go if you need to, and you can use the Revision Mate end of chapter questions to test your knowledge and to see what you need to learn. Very helpful, and it can just be a good identification of what you've soaked in and what you haven't, and then you can go back and focus on those areas that you still need to learn. And it's also an idea to study in short bursts. Again, there's no point in sitting down and just reading the textbook back to back, cover to cover for hours on end. For many people, you need to just study in short bursts of 15 to 20 minutes at a time, then go away and have a 10-minute break, make yourself a cup of tea or something, forget about it, because actually your brain will process everything while you're doing a mind-numbing task like that, and then go and sit back down and have another burst of activity. So depending on the type of studier you are, there are different things you can do to help your brain soak up more information. So if you're someone who's very visual, you can read the material and then draw yourself out perhaps mind maps or spider charts to put your information into visual form. Personally, I always had post-its around the kitchen with different equations on and things like that, and I found that was the most helpful way for me to learn things, but figure out what's best for you. And if you are a visual learner, use colourful charts, colourful bits of paper, and make a study plan that's going to work for you. Try to tie new material, so things you're perhaps struggling to keep hold of in your brain, try and tie them to things that you already know. So when you're learning them, just try and relate them to something you already know, tie them together in your brain, and then you should be able to recall them when you're thinking about that particular thing. It's often easier to understand something if you can relate it to something that you already understand. If you're really struggling to get something in your brain, then you can try something ridiculous. Take an inanimate object, a teddy bear, an ornament or whatever, and try to explain to that object what you're trying to remember. So whether that is about state benefits or DWP or taxation, try and explain to them as if you're explaining to a person, and then hopefully that will help you remember. If you don't really have a great visual memory and you're better with words, then try and make what you're trying to learn into a story. Create some characters, throw them together, and try and create a story that you can recall. Acronyms can also be helpful, and I've certainly used those in the past to help me remember things. Songs can also be helpful, so trying to put concepts to the tunes of your favourite songs. Most people have a great memory for recalling lyrics, so if you can try and create lyrics for your favourite songs, then you might be surprised how easily it is to recall them when you need to. And also learning on the go is a great one. So all those blocks of wasted time you have if you're on the train commuting to work or whatever, on your lunch break when you're at work, if you can do some studying in those short breaks, then you're making the most of that time that would otherwise be spent doing, I don't know, watching something on Netflix or, just wasted basically. So if you can try and squeeze your studying into those small sections of time, then before you know it, you'll be picking out information and you'll be an ace at it. So let's talk exam tips. What's likely to come up in the exam? So you can expect some taxation questions, I'm afraid. Do not be swept into thinking that it's about protection, so there won't be any questions about tax. There will be, and they will most likely be asking you about qualifying, non-qualifying, onshore, offshore and inheritance tax. So there are quite a lot of taxation questions that will be linked in to protection policies, so you must make sure you know those things. You also will need to know the taxation of premiums and the proceeds across the different types of individual and employer sponsored policies. You're unlikely to get a lot of calculation questions. You may get a few but not too many, but you will need to know the theory of taxation and how it will apply. There is no negative marking in the CII multiple choice exams, so if you're really stuck when you get to a question, just guess. I would go through the entire exam question by question and put one answer for every question. Some you might know off the bat, others, if you really don't know, take a guess and flag it. Go all the way through, because if you happen to get to the end and your time's up, at least then you've had a guess at every question. Then if you have got spare time at the end, go back to your flagged questions and have another go at them. Just have a real think about them and try and just go through and answer those flagged questions and give yourself the best chance of passing. But just honestly have a guess. There's no negative marking, so what can you lose? And I would always advise you read the exam questions more than once. The CII never put useless information to an exam question, so it's important you read every element of the question and work out exactly what they're trying to ask you. There can be double negatives, there can be some complex details there, so just make sure you're reading the question and working out exactly what the question is. Don't answer the question that you think they're asking you. Make sure you answer the question they are actually asking you. And the exam itself is a 1-hour exam. There are 50 multiple choice questions and there's only one correct answer for every question. The nominal pass mark is around 70%, so you need about 35 out of 50 to pass. And the 2020 pass rate for the unit was 79%, so quite a high pass rate. But again, just make sure you know those sections that we've spoken about, those chapters that are going to have the majority of the marks, and certainly state benefits and taxation. But good luck guys, and I'll see you next time.